Alrighty, what is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the channel for another weekly update. Hope everybody's having a lovely weekend. And with that being said, let's dive into the TA. All right, guys, so we're kicking off today's video with the MAGS ETF here. This is just summing up the MAG 7 stocks as a whole here. I'm going to point out in this video, we got like 3 of them set to continue pushing. 2 of them are set to rip. 1 is set to continue pushing. I think 1 is going to be getting a decent pullback there. We'll talk about in today's video. But I just want to, give the reminder here. Okay, we talked about this a few weeks back when we were sitting up here. Even if we pull back, it's just going to be a break and retest. And we also talked about it, over the past 2 weeks that, sideways market, guys, sideways market. That's probably what we're going to have. People are going to be driving themselves crazy. That's not going to be you. Why? Because you're going to be expecting it. That's, exactly what we have going on. That's what we had last week. That's what we've had the last few weeks. And I'm just going to point to over here again. Yeah, it looks like we're getting a variation of this where the market doesn't know which way it wants to go, wants to keep going back and forth. We're going to have some good movement here on individual tickers. So I'm just going to say this could be the highlight of these videos for the time being as the market's, moving like this. There's not much to, to trade over here on the indices, but I'll tell you, I got a bunch of individual ticker setups constantly for you that you can take a look at and always be having a good time. You'll know where the money is moving in the market, okay? I got some ideas that are going to be moving this next week just for you at the end of the video, okay? But, I just wanted to start the video off with that. We're going to make this a quick one because, again, just sideways market here. I think we have some things setting up. I think Nvidia, guys... Oh, sweet baby Jesus. We got our trade idea loan. We're going to talk about the game plan in today's video, guys. Honestly, MAG 7 stocks, they're going to be hot. All right. There was this time where, we were just saying, okay, Meta and Google, those are the ones to be focused on. Apple started moving and grooving. That was there as well. But, you saw Google just completely push up the highs this week, just skyrocketed. And, last week, guys, we identified if you do end up making a new high this next week, all right, the week after that, it's probably going to put in a topping tail. It doesn't have to be the case, but I'm just, going to give my fair warning here. Don't be chasing this move, okay? You can come over here to Amazon, and this is one I've been talking about the last 2 weeks here. It's getting ready for its own move up to all-time highs. Just like Google was sitting over here, it was very obvious that it was going to start breaking up from that consolidation eventually. You had this going on, in the form of this, you had that, and then you had bullish consolidation above there with the break and retest off 21. You come over to Amazon, it's doing the same things, guys. It is literally just consolidating this pennant over here. Started breaking out on Thursday, started pulling back into Friday. But this is a no-brainer, guys. It's very unlikely that this is going to take out these lows over here. The next move to happen is the all-time highs, and I'm just pointing out this MAGS ETF. It told us these things were going to be happening ahead of time. It told us that this dip was very likely just going to be bought over here at previous all-time highs. I know it's never a guarantee, but, we do always know where the odds are, and that was the odds, okay? So I just wanted to start off the video like that and just make it pretty clear here, we can still continue going sideways in the market, but it is going to end with another leg up, and people are going to keep thinking I'm stupid for saying so. I understand. Oh, the market's going down. You're saying it's going to be bought and it's going up. Oh, no. Oh, no. What are you, stupid Henry? Guys, all right? What has the market been doing? Like, what has the market been doing? You can get bearish all you want, but the same people who, leave those comments and get mad are the same people trying to short holes, and they just keep getting it wrong, and they get mad because they're getting it wrong. I don't really know what to tell you, but the market genuinely has had every single dip bought over the, for months, okay? For months. We haven't been violating any previous lows here. You had a chance to violate this low. Guess what? You get bought up right then and there. You don't take it out. You had a chance to violate this low. What happened? You get bought up right there and you don't take it out. And now we have this weekly candle here, bullish engulfing candlestick, that I'm going to tell you, yes, it can fade, but is that probable? No, it's not, dude. If the market does another move like this, like, it's probably still just going to stay in the sideways market. So yeah, of course, I'm going to keep highlighting, continuously here that yes, that is the overwhelming trend here on the higher time frames. It's up, it's up, it's up. You can look at me like a perm ball you want, but I call the shots in these markets, and it's right here in these videos every single day, 5 days a week. Not every single day, but 5 days a week. Okay, just skip to the end of the video. You have a shit ton of trade ideas that are, I'm not going to say I nail everything, but I will tell you, yeah, some of these things pop the heck off. All right. Last week, guys, AEO caught the 10 bagger. I can't even point. Maybe the last 10 bagger I had was freaking AMC. I'm just saying, you know, boom. All right. You know, there's that. You got open over here. You know, we got multiple nice trades out of this, guys. But, you know, this isn't also, you know, just potential, these big runners here, okay? Every single video, I give you them. I'll just give you a brief little, you know, look at what we got going on, you know, into the end of the video there, okay? We got a bunch of names that look like they're going to be ripping over here, okay? And guess what? We've been talking about these names, and you know, they're on your radar. You knew about MU when it started popping off over here. You knew about it when it broke that trend line there, and if you took out 130, you start to move up to 140. This thing's hot, okay? You have these ideas at the end of each video. I understand the market is frustrating. It's going back and forth, but just understand you don't have to trade this crap. You don't. Okay, you can day trade it, okay, and I'll help you out with my levels. If you're in my Discord, you got a plan to do so every single day, and, you know, I'm live with you there in it, you know, doing so with you some of the time. But I'll tell you right now, I promise, you know, the money to be made in the market right now, it's not on the indices. This thing is crap, okay? It's crap. But I will tell you, DIA, bull flag. IWM, bull flag. All right. Like, I don't know what else to say about it. It genuinely looks like everything's going to continue going higher, and people still want to call me a permabull. I understand the thumbnails, you know, they're permabull looking thumbnails. I ain't going to deny. You guys don't want to click on the videos unless I give some hype out there. It's a genuine thing. I promise. All right. You know, I don't want to make those crazy thumbnails either, but I'll tell you right now, every single one of them points to another stock that, you know, most of them pop in the short term. Okay. So just click on the videos, sit through them. You have your market research done for you, and you can have a good time. But, you know, I'm just telling you, for the people who keep thinking that every little, you know, correction here is going to lead to a massive downturn, just realize that, like, you can just join the dark side, okay? Join the dark side over here. You're gonna go with the trend. It's gonna be your friend, and it's gonna be until the end. And then when the end comes, you can flip flop, okay? But you don't have to continuously do what odds are going against, okay? So there's that. All right, let's go over the levels here on SPY and QQQ. All right, on the upside, guys, we're watching 647.84, 649.48, 652.21. We take out that high this week, guys. We're talking 655 and then 660. Crazy stuff, guys. 655, 658, 660. On the downside, we have 646.19, 643.33, and then 642.34. And also in all these videos, guys, there is a bullish and bearish trigger in every single video. Yeah, the people who leave these comments also seem to, I'm guessing they just don't watch the videos, and they're just like, oh, another permabull thumbnail and title. Oh my God, he thinks all-time highs are coming again. Yeah, they probably are. But, like, yeah, I understand. I just know for a fact these are the people who aren't willing to give, you know, the value I put out there. I put time into this, you know, preparation, time recording, time, you know, spent editing, and then, you know, just dealing with the backlash of these calls. You know, let's be real about it. It's, you know, it's energy, it's time, it's there. If you're just willing to put, you know, energy, your own energy into the value that I put out there, I promise you're going to have a good time. All right. You're going to have a better time than someone, you know, who has their head in the dirt right there and just doesn't want to listen to what's going on in the market. There you go. All right. But those are your levels on SPY, guys. If you take out 642.34, you're, you know, testing the 21 EMA. You want to see that hold. We had 3 loses. Okay. We lost it 3 times and reclaimed it 3 times. I think we're probably just going to continue grinding higher. All right. Or again, sideways action. Like, that's what the market wants to do right now. You can argue with it, but I don't know why you're trying to argue with it. You could get mad at what the market's doing, or you could just go with the flow and just realize, hey, all right, if you're going to try trading it, don't get mad if you get frustrated because the thing wants to keep going back and forth, not giving any clean moves. What's giving clean moves are some of the stocks that we point out every single video. There you go. All right. On the downside over here on QQQ, we're watching 575.03, 571.53 Friday's low, and 569.03. You take out 569.03, just like SPY over there, you're underneath the 21 EMA. You're losing it for a 4th time here. Eventually, maybe it does roll over a bit. But, you know, again, I'm just going to remind everyone, every little dip that happens here, I'm going to show you in this video, they're going to be bought. The king over here is going to start being bought within 2 weeks. Probably, you know, if we make a new low next week over here on the video, it's probably going to put in a low. We'll talk about it in a little bit. But, you know, we have a recipe here for every little dip's going to be bought. That's what I'm getting at, okay? So these are your downside levels. On the upside, we have 578, 579.84, 581.12, and 583.32. Take that out. We're talking 585, 588, and 590. and we have 600. Oh, that's pretty crazy, pretty crazy. But, you know, I'm just going to, you know, I know we were on the daily chart and I was talking like that, but hey, look at the bullish engulfing candlestick that's just printing here on the weekly chart. Is this really going to be faded? Probably not. Probably not, probably not, probably not. Okay, if you get a gap down, expect to be bought, expected to print something like that, you know, but this is, it's not bearish. I don't know what else to say about it. Okay, so we're not going to say anything else about it. Okay, DIA consolidating this bull flag above the 21 EMA, above a previous all-time high there. It's going to go higher. That's DIA. All right, coming over IWM, bullish engulfing candlestick on the weekly chart right there, increasing volume on Friday. All right, and it really doesn't look all that bad. You know, honestly, I wouldn't really be long an IWM up here. I don't really see a reason to focus on this over the other tickers I'm going to show you in this video. But, hey, all right, it's still grinding higher. It's still in an uptrend here on the weekly, daily time frame. Like, yeah, you know, bulls are still in control. That's supporting the thesis we're talking about here. Come over to VIX. You had quite a bounce there on Friday, okay? You had a pretty nasty looking bullish engulfing candlestick over here. I thought, hey, maybe you close like that. Maybe that's what I'm talking about. The garbage price action on the indices right now. Like you want to get frustrated about it. It's your problem. Okay. Like there are other things you can focus on that you probably won't see as much frustration on, but that is how the market's moving right now. So there's nothing to do about it. You can't complain about it. You complain about it, you're not going anywhere in trading. I promise that. All right. You don't get anywhere complaining. Anybody who does, it's not going to help you. It's not. All right. But yeah, you know, this is probably going to come back down towards the lows, 1420s. All right. And we'll see what happens after that. But yeah, that's been the theme. We're in this channel. We're going to wait for a daily close above the upside of that channel. And that's probably going to spark the next VIX move. But until that happens, until we start seeing some things in the market that are telling us, hey, that's where we should be leaning, we're not going to be leaning that way. All right. So those are the indices. Let's go over the Mag 7 stocks. And, you know, I'll just remind everyone, this is the ETF. This thing's going higher. Whether it wants to go back and forth for, you know, the next month or so, that's anyone's guess, okay? But it is going to be going higher. This is a break and retest. You actually have two tests now. You have like a double bottom setup going on, and the neckline, you just got a breakout on Thursday, and then you hit it with the break and retest on Friday. Neckline was 60.96. Yeah, you know, this is neckline was actually over here at 60.75, but I'm going to keep that level marked out right there. Those are high. But yeah, you know, sideways or not, don't expect this thing to just massively fall off a cliff. We just had a ton of bearish, bullish engulfing candlesticks here on the weekly candles. Like that's not going to be faded right away. There's that. Okay. Apple. All right. Apple over here, guys, breaking out of consolidation. We told you it was only a matter of time until this thing started breaking up from this consolidation. On the upside, you have 241.37, 244.03, 250, and then 260.10. On the downside, you have 237.23, 235.12. Okay, if you see a move back into 235.12, expect that to be bought. This is very likely going to be continuing higher here. I don't know if it's, you know, just going to put in like a little pullback here that gets bought. I'm really not sure, but I will tell you, just had this tight consolidation for the last 4 weeks there. It's like 3.5. And you start breaking out of that into, I guess not end of week. It was the second session of this week. But yeah, you start breaking out from it. It looks pretty sexy. Just realize, all right, I know you got a red candle there on Friday. You got a little spinning top doji candlestick there. But most of these times when Apple is moving up there, you will have these red candles, and it creates that sideways consolidation before your next leg's higher. So just realize that is what we have over here, which, you know, if we're getting that, means it might not be going straight up, which means you got to be opening something like that. And then, boop, gets that next little leg up. And, you know, I'm telling you, if we get above 250, 260.10 is going to come pretty quick. It's just going to keep going. It's going to target there, okay? So that's Apple. You come over here in Nvidia and let's talk about it, okay? I told you guys, hey, next 2 weeks, I'm thinking this week, if we see this low taken out, that low is going to be the low. All right, let's look at it that way. First things first, daily RSI. I told you guys I didn't think the low was in over here. I thought we were going to get a bit more of a bounce of 174.25, and I'm still thinking we might get this bounce here, okay, up to 174.25, and I'm not trusting it, okay? 7 out of 10 times here, you have made a new low after your bounce, after, you know, hitting this spot on the daily RSI. This is over the past 2 years. You can actually extend this over the past 3 years because you had this, you know, being held up over here end of 2022. But 2 years of data from here all the way over here, That is about 2 years there, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You see the green ones? Okay, those are the ones where you hit that, bottom was in. All right. Now, I'm going to point out the reason I don't think the bottom's in yet, and I do think we're going to be going lower, and I will be a buyer if we can get this move. All right. I like October 17 calls. I do. All of these moves were over 11%. All of them. Every single one of these corrections over the last 2 years were over 11%, which tells me don't believe the hype. Okay. Which tells me I know it looks appealing here, and I know we're getting the first condition we want to see that we were pointing out there. But I looked back as, you know, I'm doing my market scan this week, and guess what? All of them go lower than 11% there. The lowest, the smallest, was 13%. And honestly, it didn't look like the price action we have right now. Absolutely every single one of them. You know, and this is me not taking it from the high. This is me taking it from that swing high once price started, you know, coming down there. All right. So not the absolute high, not up here, but the swing high there. Okay. And guess what? You know, our swing high was all-time highs here, but it's actually even less of a move than I was thinking there. Look at that. No, it's about the same. But 11%. 13% in the smallest one out of 10 occurrences on this condition over the last 2 years. Yeah, I don't buy this right here. I know you got that nice lower wick going on. If you see it bounce, don't trust it. Expect it to come back down and take out the lows. So if you are in it, okay, and you start seeing it bounce, no financial advice. You see the bounce into this area, 173, 174, probably going to be sold down to new lows. And then your boy over here and all our people, and maybe you guys in our little army we got here on YouTube, this is where we want to get involved. Okay, this is going to be down into the weekly 21 EMA. That's picture perfect. I would absolutely love it. All right, doesn't mean right when we undercut this low, it's your time to buy it. Okay, you're going to see, you know, a sign that buyers are stepping in. But I am going to tell you, all right, on that low there, if we do end up, you know, getting this bounce on the daily RSI and then it comes back down into that level, that is telling us that that low is likely right around the corner. Okay, so those are the thoughts. I just want to take some time and talk about it in detail here, just really show you guys, you know, just this, all right, just back testing what we have, the conditions we currently have, just seeing how they have played out over, you know, the past 2 years here. This is how they've gone every single time. This is how it's probably going to go again. And if we do come down to the 21 EMA, that is about a 15% decline. That would make a lot more sense than having this lackluster correction here and then pushing right back up to all-time highs. It's probably not going to go against what happened 10 out of 10 times here. So yeah, that's the video. Going lower. I think going higher in the short term, maybe 173, 174, and then I think that bounce gets sold down to new lows pretty quick. It's going to shock people. People are going to get real bearish again, and your boy over here is going to be like, nope, this is what we were talking about ahead of time. These people are, they want to be little meanies in the comments. That's fine. But I know, and you guys know, that yes, we talked about these things ahead of time, and we are prepared for them, and that's just how it is. You know, we're expecting this sideways market. People are acting like, oh, the market's falling off a cliff. No, it's not. Oh, the market's going skyrocketing back to all-time highs. It's probably also not. It's probably going to be this grinder. But yes, we will continue going back to all-time highs. That's where the market wants to keep going. It's as simple as that, dude. Meta, all right? Meta over here, guys, is banging on 760's door. But what I told you guys when we got our monthly close last week is if you just look back, all right, these candles don't lead to new highs. These candles lead to consolidation the following month, and then you start pushing up. All right, that's just typically how we see it. All right, you have a shooting star style candlestick, you had consolidation. I just don't think we're going to get anything crazy here. I think it's likely going to behave like this over here. And if we mark this out, we'll just see how price actually did behave in the weekly chart. Okay, so that was this month over here. Is this the month of October? November. All right, November. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4. No, this is the wrong one. It's right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, you see how, you have a green week, but then the next week you get sliced, okay, and you make a new low. If you do make a new low under here, I'm guessing in between this low and the weekly 21 EMA here, buyers will step in and you have a bottom. That's buyable. Okay, I like it. I think a massive move over here on Meta is loading, but I still think it comes in October. It starts up. I don't think it's going to happen right now. I could be wrong, and it could be behaving differently than it did over here. But I would say this is what the signs are suggesting to me right now. And if we do get another, slice underneath this low here, yeah, I think it's going to put in a short-term and a longer-term bottom there before we actually, like a swing low before we make a new swing high. That's what I'm thinking on Meta. All right, the level 75841. We're just going to say 760. All right, make it easy on yourself. 760. Get above there. 775, 78475, 79625. Downside support 74091, 731, 72173. But like I was saying, it is getting reactions over here, but like I was saying, I do just think we're going to get this, pretty much exactly like that, where we're just going to get that sideways action. Just makes the most sense to me. And then after that, we start pushing back up. All right. And if that's going to be the case, all right, just expect that these supports, hey, you're going to slice underneath them. You start turning back down, you slice underneath them, you make a new low. So just realize you could try and play your levels over here, but that is the macro, viewpoint on Meta. That's your big picture for this month. Google, we already talked about it, but yeah, since you made a new high that week, okay, let's look at it this way. The last two times that the weekly RSI got above 70, closed at 70 or above 70, the next week you made a new high, and then the next week after that you put in a top right here. You actually also had it happen right here, okay, but we're not going to talk about that because yeah, you didn't actually get up there. Or was I looking at this? Okay, right over there. Okay, but we're still not going to talk about that because, the RSI is all the way up here. All right, so yeah, last two times, that's how that happened, which means we're going to, probably gap down slightly. Boom, push up, sweep the high, make a new high. Bang, we start wherever we open at, we're going to take out that opening price. That's your sign this is happening, okay? Let's say you open here, you go up, okay? And let's say you go down a little bit. Okay, this is how we're going to do it, okay? You have your opening price right here, right? You start the week, you're going down, boom. You start reversing, you go up, all right? Screw this opening price. You're going to mark this low. You're going to mark that low right there. The second you reverse and you come and make a new low underneath that low you just put in, that's how you know you are in this week and you can expect further downside. Doesn't mean you're going to be shorting it, okay? You don't have to, okay? I'm not telling anybody to. I'm just telling you, you're probably going to have a bad time chasing this guy. I was pounding the table on this one before a rocket shipped, back here. Guess what? The thing rocketed. It was being a little iffy over here. I decided to take it off, but the thing freaking rocketed, okay? And now I'm telling you, you're not going to have a good time chasing it, all right? Watch for this condition to be met this week, and that's how you know where you are in this move, which means you're going to be pulling back. That's telling you you're in this part of the move where you should not be touching it long. You just shouldn't. Microsoft. All right. Oh boy. It got slammed right there at the daily 21, right there at 511.09, made a new low. All right. I'm just going to say over here, guys, you're looking for the daily RSI to come down into oversold territory, or, all right, you're looking for that weekly 21 EMA test. Regardless, we do know this is very likely a dip that will be bought. All right. And I'm telling you, all right, around the weekly 21, that's where we're looking for that low to be put in. That's where we're thinking buyers are going to be stepping in. All right, they can undercut it slightly over here. We could maybe come down 475, but that is when, me personally, I might start getting involved in Microsoft again because this is the first, new all-time high there where you've been grinding, aggressively, just grinding higher every single week there, just grinding. You're finally now getting a pullback. And it's a nice and controlled manner here into moving averages. It's probably going to be like some of these cases over here where you do find bars at the weekly 21. So I'm going to be watching for the daily RSI to get oversold. I'm going to be watching for the weekly 21 to be tested. If we get those, I'm going to be thinking we have a bottom right then and there. So that's right around that mark, okay? And that's really all you got to concern yourself with Microsoft. Either that or you're waiting for this thing to base out and then start proving to you that it wants to be pushing back up, which means you're going to do this. All right? You're going to do that. Something like that, okay? And it takes time. This is going to take 2 to 3 weeks, okay? So you don't have to... FOMO is not going to be your friend. That's all I'm telling you, okay? Right now, you're buying a fallen knife. I just told you what you're looking for your bottom. Daily RSI oversold. Weekly 21 EMA test. Maybe 480 to 475. And you could play it even safer and just wait for that base to form, and then bang, you start getting involved after that, starts breaking out, and then there you go. Buyers are showing you they want to step in. That's Microsoft. Amazon going up to highs. New all-time highs on deck. Increasing volume on this bullish engulfing candlestick this week. I think we start next week with a gap down. Or if you get a gap up, then it's your sign that we're just going right then and there. Okay, we're going to new all-time highs right then and there. I'm not going to, no financial advice. I'm not going to tell anybody to buy it, but I'll tell you, I think if you get a gap up, it sparks that move to new all-time highs. I do think. Okay, I do think. But also, if we see a gap down, I want to buy it. I like the 1017 calls. I do. I think anything bought in this area here, you're targeting all-time highs, okay? You're not trying to trade here. You can try and get a better entry, okay? All right, 230, all right? That's ideal. If we test there and bounce from there, that's ideal because you have 21 EMA sitting down to 228. You don't really want to test that. You don't want to dance around it anymore. You want to find buyers and get out of this range. You want to break above 236.53, okay? And above there, 242.52, and I think 245.250 trades right then and there, okay? But see a gap down. I think it's going to be bought. You see a gap up. I also think it's going to be bought because you're going to be breaking out of the structure, okay? It's Amazon. Tesla, guys. I'm telling you guys, I think it's going to go. I do think it's going to start going. We have an explosive move waiting over here, guys. And they launched the freaking the Robotaxi app. And it's the #1 on the App Store as of, yesterday, as of Friday. And for the free apps, I saw Elon Musk tweet it. That's a catalyst and a half here. People can hate on the company all you want. I understand there's a lot of Tesla bears out there, but this is a monthly chart that's been loading this move that's about to start taking place. It's been loading it for, a very long freaking time here, a very long time. And this is picture perfect, and it doesn't get much cleaner than this. And if you can start getting above 367.71, I think that's the trigger for this thing to go straight to 400 plus. Just a reminder for how this thing is going to be moving, guys. Gap ups, and you don't take out the previous day's low. If you do take out the previous day's low, then it's probably the beginning of the end, or like a consolidation period like this that can last a few weeks, and you don't have a reason to get chopped up in that, okay? On these moves, they happen. They're impulsive moves. They don't violate the previous day's low. Right over here, okay, on this move, you violated the previous day's low. It told us it wasn't happening. Over here, guess what? You violated the previous day's low right over here, okay? And it told us that it probably wasn't just going to magically start bouncing back right there. It told us that it was likely going to have that large pullback, and we are in that corrective period right there. But we got gap up. Let's see if we get another one. Let's see if we can start the party here fresh on Monday with this move up to 367.71. But yeah, I think this move is right around the corner, and there's a lot of hype around this name right now. And yeah, I think for good reason. All right, but it's Tesla. I showed you guys the MAGS ETF there. I think that we have a lot of fuel with what we just talked about for these things to go higher. If we pull back and the MAGS ETF just stays in that range it is above previous all-time highs, Nvidia, all right, it pulls back with Nvidia, and then it starts like, let's look at it this way. Tesla's about to be moving. Amazon's about to be moving back to all-time highs. Microsoft's bottom is likely right around the corner. Nvidia's bottom is likely right around the corner. Meta is probably just going to trade flat, so it's not really going to bring it one way or the other. Google over there, I think it's going to provide some downside pressure for the next few weeks on it. All right, but we have Tesla, Amazon, Tesla, Amazon, and Apple already supporting this move, and then Nvidia and Microsoft are likely going to start supporting upside on the MAGS ETF there. I'm just talking about, I know nobody's going to be trading the MAGS ETF, but it does sum up what's going on pretty well. All right. And it just shows us a very clean picture. And guess what? Those components there, they make up most of the SPY and QQ. They are the heaviest components there on the SPY and QQ, on S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. That's how those things are going to be moving. Off the things we just took all that time to talk about. I know we're 30 minutes into the video, but hey, it's the weekly update here. You guys, like I said at the beginning of the video, you have the information you need, all right, to make, valuable, solid decisions off of. And you didn't have to put in a crap ton of time and effort. You just have to come here and enjoy the show. Okay. Maybe you don't enjoy it. Maybe you just want to take notes and, you want to just get your information, get out. That's fine too. Okay. We provide value in an entertaining way. All right. That's the goal. That is the goal. But those are the MAG 7 stocks, guys. I think it's very supportive of a higher market. Okay. And if we get the sideways, we get the pullback, it's going to create the sideways market because it's going to get bought because Microsoft and Nvidia are going to start joining the race. All right, trade ideas next week. I already gave you guys MU. It was much lower. Okay, we started rocketing there Thursday into Friday, absolutely rocketing. I think this thing just started to move to 140 plus. I really do. And ideally, we push up there, we get to take profits up there, and then bang, we're going to start hitting it with some consolidation. All right, or we get some, you know, something like that after this breakout here that then sends us up for that next leg. Okay, so I'm not sure exactly how this is going to move. I'm really not. We have earnings, you know, coming in hot at end of September. So for the time being, I think it's going to move pretty freely. And this weekly candle here suggests this thing is going to be moving. If you get a gap up, like I'm talking a big gap, like over here, like, so you just close straight up at the high. All right. At the high. Some of these, you get a big gap up if you close at the high. And if we see that initial massive move to start off the week, I think it's worth taking it off just in case it pulls back. You know, let's be real about it. You already will have caught quite a freaking bit. We're on October calls, pricing in earnings. All right. Buying from when I put this on your radar, guys, you already are up 100%. You had a chance to get a way better price than me as well if you were buying support over here on 114.80. Guess what? All right. You're up 100% on the breakout. What happens when you get up to 140? You're going to be up like 200%. Don't be greedy pigs. Okay. There you go. It's MU. TSM. Honorable mention here. Another chip name that looks like it's about to pop off. Okay. It's very likely going to be continuing to get bought over the coming weeks here. If you see dips, they will be bought. I think we could push up the all-time highs as soon as this week, but this looks absolutely gnarly over here. And I'm just going to say, if you see these dips, they're presenting you opportunity. This thing is probably about to start running again. And whether it be something like this, it very well could be, you know, a decent move and we get up to 260, 270 like I'm thinking. All right. Or it's something like this where every little dip gets bought here and you just have that in mind and you can keep buying the 21 EMA. All right. Either way, it's going to be a stock that's moving here that you can keep on your radar. But I think MU there, it's an absolute beauty there. I hope you guys are involved, you know, beforehand. You could take new entries up here, but I'm just telling you, daily RSI is almost overbought. And I think, you know, if we push up a little further, maybe 137.13 to 140, we might actually start that consolidation that I was just talking about. Now, the flip side of that is no, daily RSI just stays overbought for the time being. There's that definitely has happened in the past. I would just say play it safe. You know, if you were entering when we talked about it, you are going to be up around 200% if you start seeing 137, 140. All right. So there's that. And that's on October calls. Short date calls probably went a lot freaking crazier. Talked about TSM, Reddit, guys. Top watch this week, guys. We're looking for new all-time highs this week. If you see a gap down, it's very likely going to be bought. That's what happens. You know, that is just a theme over here when this thing does like to get these gap downs. Maybe sometimes you get these lower wicks. Okay. But yeah, just expect these dips to be bought, guys, above 239.37. You don't have anything until all-time highs at 253.14. All right. You got the fake out over there on Wednesday, and then you got the daily close above 230.41 on Friday. So we did talk about this, you know, on Thursday's video going into Friday for a potential lot of Friday idea for this, you know, big push back up the highs. I didn't think it was going to get straight back up the highs, but I did think it was going to be a decent mover. And I'm still thinking it's going to be a decent mover next week. Pullbacks are going to be buying opportunities. This thing likes to grind. So if you see them, I'm telling you, like most days, you are going to have these pullbacks and you'll be able to take advantage. All right. So just realize that's how the ticker trades. All right. It's very similar to this next one we're going to go over. TEM. All right. The thing has a lot of pullbacks, but I'm telling you, the thing's getting ready for a big move here. All right. Big move. You take out 81.73, guys. We're going to be targeting 85.28 in the short term and then 91.45. I think a massive move is loading over here on TEM. I don't think this is going to be just like over here where you just sweep the high and pull back in. It can be. It can be, but this is looking like a monster in the making over here. All right. And, yeah, I know it didn't get going this week, but it did close out strong, consolidated nicely here above the 21 EMA. The weekly chart hit it with the break and retest off 71.97 this week. Second week in a row, you're finding buyers around there. Almost tested the weekly 9 EMA there. It looks ready to explode here, and I would assume this next week we are going to see this move, at least up here to, you know, sweeping 85.28. Like over here, you went, I think, 3 points above it. 2 points above it. Okay. So, you know, at a minimum, we're going to be looking for like 87, 88 bucks. We're going to say 88 bucks this week. Okay. Current price 79.62. More likely, we're going straight to all-time highs. There you go. Either way, it's going to have that movement and you could make your money off it. Okay. There's TEM. very, very similar to Reddit, where a lot of those days you do get those pullbacks. So just realize that is how it trades. Netflix, they're not going to like me for putting this back in your radar because I know it just didn't want to move over here. I understand. But this thing has been building out a base here, and it does look like this thing is getting ready to rumble here at this point in time. You got this bull flag. You had this downtrend break, hit it with the sideways consolidation in the form of a bull flag, and just started breaking out of that this week. You broke out of that on Thursday, pulling back for the break and retest on Friday. I think this thing is probably going to start this move to $1,300 this week. It's definitely one that you could keep on your radar. And if you do end up getting up above, this recent high you just made around 1270, 1267.10, that's your target. That's a 30-point move that you could be trying to catch in the short term. It's very likely going to be happening. I think what we just had on Friday is very likely just going to turn into, either something like this where we get sideways action on Monday and then you start pushing on Tuesday there. Or it's just gonna, immediately start. Well, this is also sideways action. So yeah, that's the most probable scenario in my opinion. Consolidate to start off the week and then push into end of week there. But I think we are right around the corner from a, slight vertical move there on Netflix, and there is a solid chance goes straight past $1,300 and goes to $1,340 all in 1 week. Once that goes, a lot of these candles, once you're getting, going over this, consolidation, this is kind of what we got going on right here. It's a little smaller than what you had over here. But yeah, that next weekly candle, you went straight to all-time highs. You had a 10% move. All right. And it wasn't even off of earnings. Okay. Over here, this was off earnings. You did go straight up to all-time highs all in 1 week. Over here, it was a bit of a grinder. Okay. But I am pointing out that, a few of these, they like to go straight up to all-time highs. And I think we have a beautiful setup over here on Netflix. And yeah, 919, 1300C. I think there's a solid shot. They will, by expiration, be closing above $4,000 a pop. They're currently going for, I think they came down to as low as like $560. All right. On Friday there. So yeah. All right. That's your idea. Netflix. Open. Come on. That was easy buttons out of batteries. I forgot, man. I tried that in the last video too. Okay. Either way, that was easy. Open over here, guys. Multiple nice baggers here on this move this week, guys. And I'm just going to say this is going to be one we're going to be focusing on over the coming weeks. I think this thing just had a massive, I know this thing just had a massive base breakout here. And yeah, I do think this is going to continue just trekking higher here. I'm not saying it's just going to continue with the vertical moves. Okay. There can be pullbacks. I'll point them out as they're coming. But for now, guys, I'm just pointing out 4-hour RSI did not actually get up to that spot there. I pointed out that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, 7 out of 7 times since this thing started gaining steam again and started, getting everyone's attention there. 7 out of 7 times, every time the 4-hour RSI has gone over 70, it's pushed up to at least 81 in the short term before pulling back. I think that tells us we're probably going to be going a little bit higher there on Monday. If we see that move higher, I think it's going to get sold. I think it creates a pullback, and I think we get another opportunity loading right around the corner, okay? That's what I'm thinking on open, but congratulations if you made a bag off this. Like I said, there were some big gainers this week. AEO was it was a 10 bagger off the open. Anybody could have held it. It would have been like a 15-something bagger. It would have been nutty. Either way, this is something that is going to be moving in the short term here. We got in on the move this week, and I'm thinking the move is to, hey, if you see further upside on Monday, I think it gets sold. There is a chance, it does this crazy shit. There is, but I do think it's likely to be sold. And yeah, I think we are probably going to get that pullback, mean reversion here into this area around the 4-hour 21 EMA. And then that is going to be, our opportunity before it goes up for that next leg. So I'm going to be watching it. But yeah, fresh weekly breakout here. Congrats if you played it here this week with me. But I do think we're going to get another few opportunities over the coming weeks for multi-baggers over here on open. UNH, guys. UNH is one that is starting to break up from this consolidation. I think it's going to start hitting it with a nasty move. I'm not gonna say nasty. Okay, let's look at it this way. You're underneath the weekly 21 EMA. I think it's gonna be getting some movement. I'm not gonna say nasty. Some of these other setups here, they're clear winners over this name over here. This thing has been a piece of dog shit for a while. I'm sorry if I'm offending the position you have. I'm sorry, but you know, as a trader here, I'm just telling you, up until right here, there's been absolutely nothing to trade over here. There hasn't been. There's no clean setups over here. There's not any sign that buyers are starting to step into the mix. There's really not. And you fell further down into the abyss. And yeah, I do think the low is in for now. Slash, not for now. I think it's just in. Okay. You know, it's with the news it had that caused this. Yeah, it's in. Okay. But I'll tell you, which, you know, just so you know, everyone's, you know, most beloved investor over here, this was their pick. This was their pick for their undervalued company there. And guess what? It pumped the absolute shit out of the stock there for a little bit. And I think you're just basing out here before that next little leg up. I don't think it's going to be anything crazy like that. That was that initial reaction just because, yeah, you know, that's a big deal right there. But I do think, yeah, we're probably going to see 318.80 and 326.55 in the short term, potentially this week. It's one to at least keep on your radar. I'm not going to say I'm going to be trading it, though. It's not the cleanest price action, but I thought I'd put it on your radar. BABA, all right. BABA over here, guys. I think we're going to take out the high this week. All right, right up here, you rejected 137 there, but we now have a high of 138.83. I think we're probably going to take that out and push above 141.95 this week and maybe start pushing up towards the highs. It's looking pretty clean. You did not hold the 4-hour 9 or the 21 EMA like I was looking for over here, so I actually did not get involved on that dip, but it is looking clean. It does look like it's probably going to be pushing back up the highs. Okay, so that is BABA. I think we probably, maybe we are going to be, you know, in consolidation for a little bit. Maybe we're still in that mode. But notice how you have this high, you have a bunch of back and forth here. We're working through the supply that's sitting right here. And what comes after that is once you're done with the crap, okay, you get these impulsive moves. We only had 1 week of the impulsive move. These go for 2 to 3 weeks. All right, so I am looking for further upside here. This one went for 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, okay? I'm looking for further upside. Didn't print the prettiest weekly candle, but I really like it on the smaller time frames, the 4-hour and the daily over here. So that's BABA, guys. Next one is PTON. Now, PTON, I'm not going to say in the short term it's going to be moving. I'm just going to say put it on your radar and maybe put an alert right here for $9, okay? Put it for $9. If you can break above $9, I think this thing is going to start a massive move. This is genuinely something that looks like it has a big reversal loading here. Monthly chart doesn't look all that bad here. It looks like it's starting to get ready over here. Notice how, you know, you didn't flip the cloud green over here, but on that pullback, you found a higher low and now you're pushing back up. Like, that is a good sign. This is literally, you know, this is a base that looks like it's about to start breaking out. So yeah, all right, watch this upper trend line right there, the downtrend line. Watch for the break above 888. I'd say just put the alert for $9. If that gets hit, this is one that you should put on your radar because it's moving in the short term. It's probably going to be getting some nice moves over the coming sessions once your $9 alert gets hit. Okay, so that's PTON. Sound, all right. Sound is one that I think is going to start moving back up the highs over the coming 1 to 2 weeks. If you see a dip over here, it's probably going to be bought. All right, it's your buying opportunity. You did not make your way back up the highs when you broke out from over here. You didn't. You pulled all the way back. You reverted to the mean over here. But at the end of the day, this is just a ton of consolidation. This is just a bigger base just loading here. And it's getting ready for a breakout, it looks like. It looks like we are probably getting ready for a crazy move like that out of this big base. So, you know, I'm just saying, keep it on the radar. There are definitely stocks that, you know, I'm going to put over this. You know, I went over some really good ones at the beginning of the video there, and I got some other good ones we're going to talk about. But you know, this PTON, like, these are ones that you're going to set your alerts here, and you're just, once they start moving, expect that these things are going to continue moving well for the next few weeks, okay? Because we didn't get the move on this, you got the little false breakout right there. Boom, next week you push back up, false breakout right there, pulled back. Oh, boom, another breakout, a big one over here too. Oh, no, pulled back, reverted to the mean. So the big move here hasn't happened yet. That's what I'm getting at, and it's probably about to start. This looks like a monster. Okay, there's that. ALAB. All right, ALAB, the old AHAB, okay? ALAB, looks like it's getting ready for that move back up to all-time highs. You have this, you know, pennant base going on over here right above the 21 EMA. I'm just not sure if you're going to be doing some crap like this. I don't think you are, because you're at new all-time highs. I think it's going to be treated like this over here, where you're making new highs and just steadily making these legs up. You've had consolidation for the past month now. I think it's likely coming to an end. And yeah, break above 199.47. I think 220 to 230 is coming in the short term. That's ALAB. Okay, coming over here, SMR. I talked about this when we hit this spot on the daily RSI. If you look back, the vast majority of these, if not all of these, they hit that spot, you get a bounce, decent bounce, and you come down, you take out that low. That low is the low that is going to give you another decent bounce. It's buyable. I'm not telling you to bet the farm. I'm pointing out what's happened in the past here, okay, when you come down and hit the spot. You hit the spot. What happened? You come down and you slightly undercut the low. It was the low before the thing started ripping back to the highs. All right, that is one occurrence. That is two occurrence right over here. We have three occurrence right here where you bounce, take out the low just ever so slightly, or at least come back down to it. And then boom, that's what it went straight back up. There you go. Okay, over here, you're coming down. All right, you didn't exactly get down there, but it's kind of the same concept. Okay, you have that little bounce, boom, that next low, that is the low. We have that condition right now. I do think we're likely going to undercut this low at 30.62. Probably going to happen this week. And I think it's going to put in a decent, you know, bottom before we, you know, we're going to get some big moves. All right. That's what I'm thinking over here at SMR. I'm not telling you to buy it right here. I'm telling you the condition. Once we take out this low here at 30.62, it's likely going to be bought in the short term for, we're talking like a 10% plus move. All right. This one over here. Okay, we'll just say you bought the app like right there, that previous low. You didn't wait for this low to be put in. You just bought the previous low there when it got hit. All right, and what happened? You give it 3 weeks, you get your 30% move. No, not 3 weeks. You, from this day right here, 1 week, 30% move. That, I'm sorry, my mind was off there. But 1 week, you get 30% move. So we're going to be watching for it. I'm not, no guarantees, but we're watching for it. That is SMR. HIMS, all right, honorable mention here. Started turning up this week, guys. Got the bullish engulfing candlestick on the week, and I do want to point out, this is the first green week of candlesticks since this whole decline started up there. And I think that is meaningful. All right. If we just look back, we could see that when this thing starts printing that first green candlestick, it either bases out and then starts pushing up. All right. Or it just, yeah, you know, actually all of these, they base up and they push up. That's the theme of the story. Okay. So that's what I want to tell you. I'm not telling you the low is in right now. I think there's a chance we take out this low. I know it looks crazy. It doesn't have to happen. It doesn't. Okay. But notice red, green. What happened? You bounced, and then 2 weeks later you took out the low, and that was the low. All right. Green. What happened? You bounced, and then you took out the low. All right. And then the next green candle was your absolute low. All right. So, you know, that's not this green candle, but the next one that prints. If we get a red candle that brings it down to the low, then the next green candle, that's your low. Okay. That's what I'm getting at. Okay. It happened over here. You had first green candle after your decline. All right. You took out the low. That next first green candle, that marked your bottom. And now you know it's time to start looking for longs on the name again. Okay. Over here, red, green, bounce, sell down, new low, green, next green candle, marked your low. Green, next green candle, marked your low. All right, so that's what we're going to be looking for here on this name. Doesn't mean that's how it's going to go, but that is something that if we see it, we know how to take action off of it. And yeah, all right, it's a nice move loading here for us, okay? All right, I got two more. I guess I'll go over QUBT here. I know we got QBTS, right? QBTS, it's not that it's looking bad, okay? I'm just saying QUBT, I think it's set up in a better manner. But I will point out, this is also right here at the weekly 21 EMA. It's just kind of been a bit of a troll there completely. I mean, the whole theme over here has, you know, been cooling off here, but I think it's about time for this thing to start heating up. So we're going to be watching for it. If it does get back above 1738 here, 1750, we'll just say, I think it is going to start pushing back up to the highs. But yeah, you definitely do have something forming over here. And yeah, I think it's only a matter of time until this thing starts breaking out from this, you know, the structure you got going on here. This is like a bullish falling wedge, bullish pennant, whatever you want to call this thing. It's wedging right into the weekly 21. You're finding buyers there for literally a month and a half. I think this is probably going to reverse from this area. So it's one to keep on the radar. Now, as far as in the short term over here, guys, RKT, I think 2138 is coming. I think we're going to see a breakout. Just know this is like TM. Okay. It's like TM over there where you get a bunch of, bunch of back and forth on these moves. Okay. You see over here, you see this big impulsive move. Well, guess what? You have a massive gap down over there. You have a gap down and pullback there. If a big pullback that week right there, I'm just pointing out it doesn't go, just vertical like that. Okay. So you're going to get these buying opportunities. They're going to be presenting themselves. I'm not telling you just to FOMO long up here. You can if you want, but I think if that's your plan, go FOMO long into Amazon 1017 calls and just, have a reason to think, Henry, okay? You FOMO long into this, there is just a chance this thing will pull back over here, and then you're going to be shitting your pants because you bought up here, and then it goes back up. That's what I'm getting at. That's how the ticker likes to trade, all right? It likes to get these pullbacks constantly, okay? So now that we got this fresh breakout, I know it looks good, but it can get that. So just don't be a bag holder there. Buying up here, it gets that pullback. There's that. I'm just putting it on your radar. If you see it, you can take advantage of it. Okay, there you go. All right. There are some other names that I think are honorable mentions here. Hood over here added to the S&P 500. No brainer. It's getting back up to all-time highs. I promise. The option chain is going to start pricing in that move though, so it's not going to seem like the easiest money. SOFI. I think this thing is probably, I don't know if it goes straight up to all-time highs here or it just keeps doing this crap it's been doing. But I do think on the daily chart, it's set up for a break above 2661, and that should bring it up to all-time highs of 2826. You got cost over here, first green weekly candlestick, bullish engulfing candlestick, probably going to start coming back up to these highs here. We're talking $1,000 is probably going to be incoming over the next few weeks. Could happen sooner rather than later, and all of a sudden, we're at our 1,040 target. Crazy buy earnings. All right. But yeah, I do think something is loading over here on cost. Okay. Cypher. All right. This is one over here that it did hit it with the break and retest from where it just broke out from 710. It's right on the daily 9 EMA. It's up against the daily 21. This is probably just going to consolidate before pushing up. I think this is a very similar setup to what we had over here on IRIN, where you're doing a bunch of that crap. Okay. But yeah, this is one that we're going to keep on our radar over here. ANF. On the weekly chart over here, you can see this thing is basing out around the weekly 21 EMA right here. I think this thing's going to start turning back up. All right. But again, I gave you the actual trade ideas that I think are worth, paying attention to this week. I think those are the ones that we could pull some money out of this week. These ones I'm giving you right now, these are just things that are setting up. All right. Rocket Lab. Nobody wants to hear about Rocket Lab, but I'll tell you right now, it was showing strength on Friday. The market wanted to absolutely dump on Friday. Yes, it got a decent bid into the close, but Rocket Lab was steadily getting a bid all day. Okay. This is something that there was a short report questioning the fundamentals of the company over here. That's why you had this initial, just crazy sell there. I'm just going to say you're still in bullish consolidation. You're going to continue expecting this thing to just consolidate. And I do think it's likely going to be continuing that push up in the short term. I don't know if it's going to take out that high. I really have no idea, but I'll tell you, if I start seeing, 48, 48.50 up here, yeah, honestly, there's a solid chance I'm just going to take everything off, and maybe we let October contracts ride, but I can almost guarantee, this thing hit it with that. It just sucks because I do think a massive move over here is loading up to $60, but I pointed out there are a lot cleaner setups here for us to focus on. So if you were someone that, ended up not selling here, before the massive knife down and you're still in it, I think Rocket Lab's probably going to give you an exit here at the beginning of the week. And I think it might be worth taking there. Okay. But that's Rocket Lab. It's starting to, move back up there. I can't say if it's going to push back up the highs, but it is starting to move again back up. And I think it's going to give people that exit. All right. And that's what I have for you guys today. You is also, a big mover here. Just got a fresh breakout on Friday, above 43.5. Next stop is $50. I'm not sure if it's going to go straight there. I'm not going to tell anybody to focus on this name. It's a high flyer. I think there are a lot better setups that I just showed you here that you can pay attention to and make some money off. Okay. All right. And as far as the Mag 7 stocks go, just going to sum it up, guys. Amazon, if we get a dip this week, expect it to be bought. If we see a gap up, just know we have a setup similar to this consolidation over here, and a gap up can ignite that move to new all-time highs. It can happen. Over here, you were $6 away from all-time highs. Over here, you're $6 away from all-time highs. You get the gap up. Okay, what happened over here is you pulled back $2, 2 points off the open there after getting your weekly gap up. And then you had a push from that opening price up a whole $7.50. So that's like you gapping up all the way up here. All right. And then you going all the way up here, 245 this week. All right. So this is like the no-brainer I'm seeing out of the Mag 7 stocks is going to be Amazon over there. And then like I was pointing out, Nvidia, guys, if we do end up, you know, getting at least minus 13%, which means, all right, which means at least down to 160. That's where we're going to be looking for at a minimum as a downside target over here on Nvidia is 160, just to go along with that at least 13% decline from that swing high. Okay, because you know that's what we're going to be looking for. That's what's happened in the past. It's very likely not going to do the thing that's been different. You know, compared to the last 10 times this condition has presented itself over the past few years. Okay. But yeah, these are the no-brainers here. Google, I would say, you know, just don't be touching Google, okay? And there you go. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did enjoy today's video, I know it's 54 minutes long. I just see that now. We did. Hey, it's action-packed in here, okay? I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it's entertaining. I try and do my best. But at the end of the day, I just hope you guys are crushing this market, and I hope you guys are using these ideas that we talk about in these videos continuously to make your money in the market. All right. I appreciate you guys. If you guys want to come trade with me, that link is down below. I'm live every day, and I trade the things we talk about in these videos. That's what I'm trading. All right. But I'm live every day up until 12 to 1. All right. So, yeah, with that being said, guys, please just leave a like. That's all I ask. I would greatly appreciate it. And I will catch you all in the next one. Everybody, I hope you kill it next week. And peace.